Greetings and welcome. Thank you for coming. Before we begin, let me take a few moments to give the obligatory like this video, comment on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and more importantly, share this video with a friend, a coworker, a lover, or that guy on Facebook that keeps sending you unsolicited duck pics. Let's try and get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. While you're at it, be sure to check out my Patreon channel. Consider becoming a subscriber and help keep my editor energized with steak and scotch. Seriously, he's a large part of what makes this channel work. And lastly, a quick shout out to my Tier 4 patrons, Russ of the Frozen North, Neo5AC, Nick, Zachary Langmead, and Scared Wolf 1206. Thank you very much. Now, on with the story. The Deathworlders, a story by Philip R. Johnson, a.k.a. Hambone, Hambone HFY, and Hambone 3110. Chapter 24, An Alien World. Part 4. Date point: 10 years, 4 months AV. Finchley, London, England, Earth. Eva Rios. Sean's uncle Simon turned out to be an older and more weathered clone of his nephew. He had the same long, straight nose, the same wavy dark hair, the same long and slender frame. If not for a few wrinkles, the tan, and a dusting of white hairs, the two could have stood side by side and been hard to tell apart. He also had a keen and critical eye, which he was running over Ava's online portfolio. "I like this one. You timed it perfectly on his exhalation. It feels really cold. This one, you could have put the subject a little off-center. Get more of the tree in there. You see?" Ava just nodded and paid attention, answered questions when they were asked. It was interesting feedback. She'd had so many people tell her how great her photos were. It was genuine pleasure to have somebody go through them with a fine comb and pick out the tiny imperfections. When he reached the end of the album, Simon handed the tablet back to her and nodded, smiling gently. "Sean was right. You're good." "Told you," Sean commented from where he was sprawled on the couch, playing an old game, something with airships and muzzle-loading rifles. "So what does that mean?" Ava pressed. Simon stroked his chin thoughtfully. "You've come along at a good time," he said. "The guy I usually work with is off sick and will be for the foreseeable future, so I do need a photographer." He tapped his chin, frowning. "Look, how do you feel about the Middle East?" "How do you mean?" Ava asked him. "Would you be scared to go there?" Simon clarified. "Not enough to stop me if that's where the work is," she shrugged. "I don't know. You've got to take care wherever you go, right? Just because you have to take a little more care in some places than others." "A lot more care," Simon corrected her. "Fine, a lot more care," Eva agreed. "But there's no such thing as safe anyways." "True," Simon agreed. So, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem going there provided I had somebody to show me the ropes." Simon fetched a tablet from his bag and signed into Google Maps. Within seconds, he'd summoned a sandy oblong of land sandwiched between Africa and Asia. "So, this is where Saudi Arabia is," he said, tapping it. "Right," Ava nodded, taking note of the countries around it for good measure. "Now, the Saudi royal family are still richer than Croesus, but part of the reason for that is that 10 years ago they did something very sensible. They sold every oil-based asset they had. Seriously, VI Day happened before we even really got our heads around aliens on the telly. The Al Sauds had ditched every penny they had in oil and invested it elsewhere. At the time, people thought they were crazy. They even made a loss on some of those sales." He opened a new tab. Time, however, has proven just how bloody smart a move that was. When alien technology put the final touches on fusion and widespread cheap solar power, a hole appeared in the oil market, and the value per barrel has been in decline for 8 years in a row now. Ava nodded her understanding. "But Saudi Arabia itself didn't do so well," she noted. "Exactly," Simon nodded. "The country's economy was still founded in oil. Declining oil industry means declining employment, declining wages, and all the people who make a living selling goods and services to the oil industry and its workers. They all start to lose jobs and money, too. Their labor pool of foreign workers dried up. Throw in some safety cock-ups around the Hajj, badly hurting their tourism industry, and Saudi Arabia's been in recession for 5 years now." Surely they're never going to be rid of oil entirely, Sean asked. Not plastics, Ava agreed, but gasoline? The market for that's going to be a fraction of what it used to be when it finally settles. And there's the problem, Simon continued. Saudi Arabia just isn't as rich as it used to be. In fact, it's imploding. They've already had to cut spending in all sorts of ways. Artificial reefs and peninsula projects have been abandoned. Cities in the desert have shrunk because they just couldn't afford the water. And military spending has been slashed. Oh boy, Ava sighed, realizing where this was going. The caliphate. The so-called caliphate, Simon gently corrected her. In what used to be Syria, yes. They've had their eye on Mecca and Medina for years. The Masjid al-Haram and al-Masjid al-Nabawi are two of the most sacred places in Sunni Islam. If the caliphate were to annex those cities, it'd be a major propaganda victory for them. Recruitment would boom, and it's high enough already. Where's the third? Sean asked. Jerusalem, Simon told him. But the Israelis are a much tougher nut than the Saudis and the Palestinians are. Never mind. Point is, they don't have a shot at Jerusalem anytime soon, but they might have a shot at Mecca and Medina if not for... He zoomed the map out a bit. Pakistan. Like I said, Saudi Arabia is collapsing, and because nobody in the region wants that, they've been channeling aid and supplies to the Saudis for years, much to Iran and Russia's alarm. In Pakistan's case, a large part of that has been military aid. Just like the Saudis and the so-called caliphate, Pakistan are Sunni too, and they're keen not to see the holy cities fall into caliphate hands. So they've been loading all sorts of things. Training, special forces, a warship or two, and of course their air force can reach anywhere in the region just fine. Okay, Sean asked, examining the map. Simon smiled grimly and closed the app to open a folder full of pictures instead. 2 ships at harbor, dimly visible through extreme range and heat haze. This is the MV Narsapur, and berthed next to it is the PNS Zulfiqar, one of Pakistan Navy's frigates. Narsapur is a merchant vessel, a light freighter. About 2 months ago, she left Karachi, bound for Jeddah seaport. When she got there, though, she was immediately locked down by the Pakistani military. She didn't load or offload anything, and 3 days later, she sailed straight back to Karachi without explanation. Any idea why? Sean asked. Oh, rumors were flying thick and fast, Simon told him. None of them were very credible, not even the kind of rags who run headlines like "The Kortai abducted my cat" or whatever were touching them. That is, right up until some friends of mine were fed a tip that an Israeli checkpoint intercepted a nuke covered in Pakistani flags. A nuke, Sean exclaimed. Ava was similarly dismayed. You're kidding! I wish I was, Simon shook his head. Okay. Ava reopened the map and considered it some. Where's Iran in all this? Good question. One of the 2 questions we are going to be answering, in fact. Oh, bloody lovely, Sean groused. You plan on leading us into a powder keg where cities could maybe blow up? Story of my life, Ava commented, soda voice. Neither man heard her. What's the other question? Simon sat down, resting his elbows on his knees. That nuke showing up in West Bank makes absolutely no sense at all, he said. Nobody benefits from that. If they successfully smuggled it over the border and then detonated it, then what? Like I said, Jerusalem, and specifically the Al-Aqsa Mosque, is the 3rd holiest site in Islam. Destroying it would be only marginally less blasphemous than destroying the Kaaba or the Mosque of the Prophet. Set it off elsewhere in Israel, he continued, and they'll just bring down the angry hammer of the West. Either way, there's no incentive. So that nuke being where it was is just bizarre. In fact, I'm having trouble figuring out what the nukes are going to be useful for anywhere. Unless whoever took them truly are crazy enough to believe that they could detonate them and actually survive or even defeat the retaliation. Unless just setting them off is the whole objective, Sean pointed out, and the whole point is martyrdom. Or unless blasphemy is the whole point, Ava added. Some anti-Muslim organizations wanting to destroy the holy sites? True, Simon nodded, but in both cases, even martyrdom is done in support of an objective, And I feel like if body count alone was the idea, they would have gone off already. It's a big and insecure part of the planet, and they'd have had plenty of time to drive those bombs to pretty much anywhere in Afro-Eurasia. If the plan was just to cause mayhem or to enrage the Muslim population, they'd have gone off already, I think. Sean raised a hand. Am I alone in being a tad concerned about going up against people who stole some nukes and who may be willing to use them? He asked. Don't let me stop you if you want to back out, Simon told him. Goodness knows it'd be a welcome relief from Jackie spamming me all the time, telling me to talk you out of it, he added, referring to his sister, Sean's mother. Ava? Sean asked. She thought about it. She knew what her answer was, but it would be nice to articulate why. Simon, what do you think about what happened to San Diego? She asked. Simon sat back and considered her. How do you mean? Like, what's your theory of what happened? Simon pondered his reply carefully before giving it. I think, look, all the credible science commentators have all agreed that it was some kind of antimatter-based weapon. 5 kilograms, they reckon. 5 kilograms of antimatter would cost about $300,000 trillion, Ava told him. Jesus, Sean muttered. That's... how much is that? A fuck of a lot, Simon told him unhelpfully. All the combined goods and services of the planet Earth would add up to that in about 7 years or so, Ava told him. So, yeah, there is no way that bomb was human activity. It was aliens, I guarantee you. And, oh look, within a few years of it happening, there's a huge increase in defense spending. We start building spaceships, and my boy... She paused, pulled an annoyed face to start over. My ex-boyfriend winds up as the poster boy for a new generation of spaceborne servicemen. Simon nodded, and then a Pakistani freighter carrying presumably nukes loses that cargo on the open ocean, only for one of them to show up a month or two later exactly where it makes the least sense, he said. Right. It's like if somebody who really didn't understand the politics and religions and the whole everything that's going on in the Middle East was looking to try and shake up a real clusterfuck of a war in the region, Ava told him. To what end? Sean asked. I don't know, Ava shrugged. But what happens if they succeed? What if the whole Middle East did descend into World War III? Would the Allies be able to just ignore and keep throwing resources into space? Not bloody likely, Simon mused. Where did you come up with a theory like that anyways? There's kind of a pattern, Ava told him. Adam and I, our first date was to a roller derby. He spotted somebody in the crowd he recognized from a murder investigation, and there was somebody lurking outside with an assault rifle, and, it was almost a mass shooting. You never mentioned this, Sean gaped at her. It's how Dad got his injury. The gunman shot him in the back. But then, years later, when we lost Sarah, that guy moved in the exact same way. Adam saw that instantly, and he was doing something in the Byron launch pad at Folkda. She grinned her teeth and sighed, frowning. I can almost put my thumb on it. It's like a word on the tip of my tongue. I can feel that those two men really were connected to each other and to San Diego and to all this spending and the SOR and to this. She tapped the picture of Narsapur and Zulfiqar. To that freighter and the nukes. It's all part of the same thing. I know it is. This piece of the puzzle just fits. They considered the image again. Bloody hell, Duck, Sean said eventually, shivering. If you were trying to talk me into coming with you, you've done a shitty job. And given me a lot to think about, Simon added. Where do we even begin investigating something like that? And if you're right, there's no way that the intelligence services aren't involved. What's the alternative? Ava asked. I heard there's an Icelandic choir going to do a concert tour around Dominion space. Do you want to go cover that instead? That'd be the sensible thing to do, Simon suggested. Fuck sensible, Ava grumbled. Whatever this thing is, it killed my parents and ruined my life, and I'm not alone. I want to fight back, so hell yeah, I'm in. Simon gave her a long, slow stare, then turned to Sean. I like her, he declared. Said you would, Sean agreed. Simon stood up. Let me plan this, he said. I'm not quite sure where an investigation in this might start. And no offense, Ava, but you being an American is going to complicate matters if we just head straight for Saudi Arabia or wherever and start poking around. For the time being, fill out those forms I gave you and submit them. We can at least get your credentials sorted out so that whatever we decide to do, we're ready to do it, okay? Ava and Sean nodded, and then he stood. Get some bags packed and ready to go. Keep them by the front door somewhere. I'll be in touch. Sean let him out. Are we crazy? He asked on returning. I mean, are we seriously going to kick off our careers in journalism by going to the Middle East and chasing nukes? I think Simon's either crazy or desperate to take us along, Ava replied unconcernedly, stretching out on the couch. Doesn't that bother you? I gave my last fuck months ago. That's not what I wanted to hear. Ava tucked her hands behind her head. Sean, don't you get it? Didn't you put the pieces together? Didn't you listen to a thing I just said? Sean frowned at her, then circled around to drop in the armchair. Clearly I didn't, he muttered. Ava sighed and sat up. Someone or something wants us dead, she said. You must have seen the Vancouver attack footage, and everybody knows about the quarantine field, and come on. You think 2 million dead Californians happened by accident? Adam and I could have been in that. It kind of rams the point home. You really think... No, I fucking know, Sean. I saw a man shoot a 14-year-old girl because she was in the way. That's what we're up against. I don't know who or what or why, but I know that something with more antimatter than we could produce if we turned all of the Earth's civilizations to making it and pumped it out for a lifetime. Something with that wants us dead. And it's somehow got some humans on its side too. She gestured at the window. And what are the options? Do nothing? Get drunk? Fuck a lot and try to enjoy ourselves before they succeed because we didn't try and stop them? The hell with that. I can't. She was amazed to discover that she was crying. Sean, very gently, shifted from chair to couch and put a hand on her upper arm. You sure you're still not feeling guilty over Adam? He asked. Of course I still feel guilty over Adam. Ava tore away from him and surged to her feet, angry now. How does that change anything? Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter what my reasons are for doing it. It's still the right thing to do. We could get killed. Oh, wake up! We will get killed someday. Cancer, or car crash, or an antimatter bomb from space, or who the fuck knows? Death doesn't scare me, Sean. If it scares you, you're welcome to not come along. He laughed gently. I did say we could get killed, didn't I? Ava stilled. Okay, what's your reason? She asked, turning to face him. Sean shrugged. A bad one, he conceded, picking at something invisible on his jeans and not looking at her. But, better to do the right thing for a bad reason, right? Yeah. Ava considered challenging him for a better answer, but settled for shrugging and trudging out of the room and up the stairs into her bedroom to prepare a bag as Simon had suggested. Every fiber of her wanted to be sullen, angry, and bitter pretty much all the time, and she was damned if she had indulged that impulse, even if Sean couldn't resist his impulse to drop a veiled passive I love you on her whenever he could, which was really starting to be a pain in the... She paused, took a deep breath, and started over. She had to do that a lot as she packed, just as she'd had to do every day for weeks now. Every single resource she could find about travel in the Middle East stressed modesty. Modesty. As if the God who'd created the human body had intended for it to be an object of revulsion and fear, as if men were so weak that women had to suffer the burden of controlling their impulses for them. Pause. Deep breath. Start over. It was getting better day by day. Every time she caught herself flying into a rage, every time she closed her eyes, inhaled, and let go, it made the next time a little easier. She took her time and focused as hard as she could on packing the bag as small and efficient as possible. Tight jeans were out, but that was okay. She had some loose slacks. These formed the outer layer, inside which were rolled her flannel shirts, loose tops, and everything she had that would combine to cover her from wrist to chin to ankle without scandalizing the oh-so-delicate male sensibilities. Pause. Deep breath. Start over. Underwear, socks, sanitary pads, some makeup essentials, a pretty square scarf that could hopefully pass muster as a hijab if she needed it. She spent a few minutes practicing putting it on, threw it onto the counter in disgust after she managed to jab herself in the back with the head of the pin. Pause, deep breath, start over. Retrieved it, and after a few minutes became satisfied that she was putting it on correctly without having to refer to the WikiHow guide. Experimentally, she wore it alongside the clothing she'd picked out. It wasn't baggy and formless, at least. In fact, modest and still hot, she congratulated herself, then realized in testing her outfit that she'd managed to completely do all her progress on packing the bag. She paused, took a breath, and started over. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am the Casual Deathworlder, your host, and this has been The Deathworlders, Chapter 24, Part 4. If you enjoyed this content, please smash those like and subscribe buttons and drop us a comment to help feed the hungry algorithm. As always, a huge shout out to my editor, Gregor. Thank you very much, buddy. Without you, I'd have to do the editing, and nobody wants that. It'd be kind of like me singing in the shower. Painful. Another quick shout out to my fans here in town. You know who you are. Thank you all for listening. Okay, so question, who's got the question? So, who do we think is going to be the first to put man back on the moon? NASA, the Chinese, or SpaceX? Leave your answers in the comments down below. Until next time, be safe, be well. I love you all. Bye-bye.